Welcome to the SafetyWorks Training Institute's presentation of Introduction to Occupational Noise in the Workplace. I'm here at the SafetyWorks Training Institute by myself, so I'm going to take off my mask. Now, our objective today is to understand occupational noise exposure in the workplace, how to control noise hazards, and how to protect your hearing in loud environments. When you look at this picture, we can understand that sound waves reach our ears as vibrations. Now, the outer ear funnels those vibrations into the middle ear, where three tiny bones amplify the vibrations into the inner ear. In the inner ear, the snail-shaped cochlea, which is filled with fluids, create waves. As the waves peak, they cause tiny hair cells called stereocilia to bend, which converts the vibrations into electrical signals. The electrical signals are received by the auditory nerve, which go to the brain to be interpreted as sound that you recognize and understand. Hearing loss may be caused by the one-time exposure to extremely loud noises. Now, these loud noises may cause cell damage, and in some cases, they cause the cells to die, and hearing loss cannot be reversed. There are times after leaving a very loud event like a concert, your hearing may be affected. You may experience difficulty hearing whispers of voices. They may seem muffled. Within a few hours or days, normal hearing usually returns. This is because the hair cells, the stereocilia, is similar to blades of grass, which bend more if the sound is louder, but they will become straight after a recovery period. But hearing loss is also part of the aging process, not just because of noise. Now, the rule of thumb is if you cannot hear another person talking to you, or if other people have to shout to be heard 3 feet away, it may be too loud. Now, a normal conversation is usually about 60 decibels when you're 3 feet away from each other. But in things like a boiler room, you might be looking at 90 decibels, a construction site, 100 decibels, and maybe operating heavy equipment could be up to 120 decibels. Now, 85 decibels over an 8-hour shift will require a hearing conservation program, and that needs to be posted in the workplace. A hearing conservation program consists of the following elements. They need to measure to determine the hazards and monitor to determine the exposure level. In order to control, they need to have methods to eliminate or reduce the sound levels. To protect, they'll need to give you and provide hearing protection. When you check it, audiometric testing to ensure protective measures are working. Then they'll train you to recognize hazards and how to protect your hearing. There will be a record which they have to retain for medical and training records, and then they should be evaluating to make sure the program is effective. How do we measure? You have the right to review. Now, we will use a sound level meter to determine if the level is around 80 decibels or above to necessitate full shift monitoring. This is a noise level meter. Pretty simple gadget to run. You just turn it on and you point it towards the level of the sound exposure, and it will give you a readout. Some people's phones have an app, which is fine for screening, but it's not okay for OSHA. They will want a sound level meter, which is a type 1 or type 2 that follows the ANSI standards. And then if it is around 80 or above, they may want to do full shift monitoring with a dosimeter. This is a dosimeter that would attach to your collar or up around your hearing zone, and they'll keep it on for full shift to determine over the 8 hours what is the level you're exposed to. Now, it's important to measure all shifts if the noise levels may vary due to production increases or decreases. As you can see by this graph, these sound levels run from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., and they go up and down throughout the course of the day. There may be many dips and valleys which indicate changes in production or how close the employee is at any time to the equipment. Over the course of the shift, the projected 8-hour time-weighted average in this instance is 91.2 decibels. Now, prior to requiring employees to wear hearing protection or participate in a hearing conservation program, employers are expected to eliminate or reduce sound levels. In order to do this, employers may eliminate or remove the hazard from the proximity of the employees, thereby eliminating the hazard. Elimination could be as simple as getting rid of loud equipment. They could do substitution, which means bringing in a quieter piece of equipment. They may institute engineering controls, which are modifying or maintaining equipment to reduce the sound levels from the equipment. They may isolate or create barriers that keep sound within a space and keep employees outside of that space. Administrative controls are things that may decrease the time employees are exposed to noise levels through job rotation. And lastly is hearing protection, personal protective equipment for working around that equipment. But the standard clearly says an employer must try to engineer out as much sound as possible before putting people in hearing protection. Now, once all other protections are in place, if the sound levels still exceed 90 decibels over the full shift, then hearing protection will be required. Now, hearing protection must be available to anyone with an exposure of 85 decibels or greater for an 8-hour shift. They should be provided at no cost to the employee and replaced as necessary. Employees shall select from a variety of suitable hearing protectors, and employers should ensure proper initial fitting and supervise the correct use. All hearing protection is not created equal. Manufacturers are required to provide a noise reduction rating on each device. It's called the NRR, the noise reduction rating. OSHA recognizes that all employees do not have the same ear anatomy, nor do they always don their hearing protection correctly. Now, some hearing protection come with an NRR range. The lower range is 80% of users will achieve versus the upper range for proficient users. So essentially, OSHA is trying to take into consideration in the EPA's NRR that some will do it well and some won't do it as well, and they want to give you that range. Double hearing protection do not use corded plugs. So let's talk about some hearing protection. These are hearing protection that go inside the ear canal. Sometimes they have a band, sometimes they do not. These are what's known as a piston style because it helps you push it into the ear canal, and you obviously want to be careful with that. Every manufacturer has directions on how to properly insert these and make sure that you follow those directions. It's super important to always have clean hands when you do this, because here you are touching a part that's going to go inside your body. So in most cases, when you have hearing protection that goes inside the canal, you're going to lift you'll pull the top part of your ear up and away. This opens up the hearing canal, your ear canal, and then you can slide it in and then hold it until it expands. And it's super important that when you're ready to take these out, you don't just kind of yank it out. You slowly twist it and pull it out carefully. Now, if I'm going to use double hearing protection, as I mentioned before, these would not work because this band will interfere with the seal on the earmuffs. So if I put these earmuffs on, I need to have a really good seal. So I don't want to have safety glasses in the way, even hair in the way, or cords. You can tell when you get a really good seal with these. These are called canal caps. These actually do not go inside the ear canal. They cover the ear canal. They're usually not as protective as these. These are usually your most protective with an NRR rating, but these will just usually cover over the ear canal. And once like I said before, follow the directions on how to do this, whether you can leave them around the back or put them around the front. It's super important to follow those directions. But your employer should be providing you the training. They should be explaining the noise reduction rating, making sure you understand for the noisy environment you're in, does it protect you adequately? And double hearing protection, if this is your noise reduction rating of say 27 on these, you will have to -7 decibels, because that is, if everything was perfect in a perfect world, you might get 27. But OSHA has given us a protection factor of 7. So if this is 27 on the box or the package, we're going to now call it 20. Okay, so this is going to reduce your noise exposure 20 decibels. And if for some reason I apply second hearing protection with earmuffs, regardless of the noise reduction rating on the earmuffs, it's only going to eliminate another 5 decibels. So combining 2 forms of hearing protection, 20 and another 5, might reduce it down to 25, reduce it down 25 decibels. So it's important that we wear these correctly, we maintain them correctly, and that the employer trains you when you are required to use personal protective equipment, primarily hearing protection. And as you can see in this diagram is an example of what you might encounter. So in this situation, you may be working around a power mower that is 107 decibels, okay? These molded earplugs have a noise reduction rating of 32. So if I -7 from 32, it's going to drop the hearing level, the noise level, by 25 decibels. So if I take 107 and -25, I'm now down to 82, which is more than enough to get me down below 90. 90 is the magic number for 8 hours. Okay, so if I use earmuffs, there's a noise reduction rating of 21. And if I take that 21 and -7, now I'm at 14. So 107 -14 gets me down to 93. 93 is greater than 90, so this form of hearing protection alone is not enough. So this is how we can quickly determine the right hearing protection for the noise levels. So once again, all hearing protection is not created equal. It's important to follow the directions on how to properly don and doff hearing protection. Failure to do so may not properly protect your hearing. Your employer during training should demonstrate how to properly don and doff hearing protection. Any employer required to have a hearing conservation program must provide audiometric testing. This testing will be done within 6 months of starting with a new employer and will recur annually and is provided at no cost to you. You will receive a copy of your audiometric test. Now, audiometric testing results are used to check the following. It's used to check to see if your hearing protection in use is adequate. It also checks to see if there is a change in your ability to hear and if there's a medical condition of the ear unrelated to noise exposure. Now, employees covered by a hearing conservation program must have initial training and annually thereafter. Updated training may occur to reflect changes in protective equipment or work processes. So essentially, it's going to train you on the effects of noise on your hearing, the purpose of hearing protectors, the advantages, the disadvantages, and the attenuation, noise reduction rating of the various types of hearing protection. They'll talk about the instructions on selection, fitting, use, and care, and the purpose of audiometric testing and an explanation of the test procedure. So that's occupational noise in a nutshell. I'm glad you joined us today. For more information, please contact us at SafetyWorks. Join us at our SafetyWorks Training Institute for other trainings that we have available. And thank you. Have a safe day.